It's October, and that can only mean one thing. It's that time of year where everything goes a little bit more spooky, horror films are everywhere, and everyone enjoys dressing up as ghouls, ghosts, and monsters. Seeing how this is the month of Halloween, I thought I'd do my take on a popular series from a friend of the channel, Christian Pearson, over at Popcross Studios, and I'll do my own version of Pokémon SCPs. And what better time of year than Halloween to give this a go? With that said, I hope you all enjoy my take on Pokémon's SCPs. We narrated by the channel's SCP narrator, Connor Farley. So let's bring these monstrous designs to life. Well, blow me down. How is it that since I ran into that Nexon fella and went on that wee adventure, more and more encounters with a new class of SCP have been seen all over the world? Normally, there wouldn't be a problem with keeping them out of the public eye and all. But these things, not only are they everywhere, but there are hundreds of them. Tis a miracle the whole world hasn't been driven to the brink of madness at the bottom of a pint of the black stuff. The first instance of this new class SCP was what the Foundation has dubbed SCP-P448. This one is a feisty one and has a wee bit of a temper if it senses any hostile intentions. SCP-P448 is a bipedal dog. Wolf? Jackal? Sod this. Can't the boys in the lab make up their mind what this thing is? Okay. Well, I guess we should make an executive decision. And this thing is a bipedal canine, with what appears to be some coon-like features. Seems like a rather strange combination, if you ask me. Though compared to most SCPs, it's a bit on the dull side. Though it is a bit of a tall fella, standing at 1.2 meters high. It says here, his steel spikes sticking out of his body. This thing seems to be some kind of fighting steel-type canine. Wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley. SCP-P448 is able to detect the aura of anything around it. This has been observed by the Foundation scientists, who observed SCP-P448 watching and following a member of the Foundation staff, which had the intention to harm this SCP. Now, normally, this would not be something to note down, except for the fact that the staff member was on the other side of a two-way mirror. This led to a series of tests where D-class personnel were placed in random locations throughout Site P. Much to the surprise of the boys in the lab, SCP-P448 was able to watch the movements of the D-class personnel when they were asked to send killing intent. This was how the Foundation first discovered SCP-P448's extrasensory perception. Perhaps it can see the aura of people. However, that was not the end of it. One D-class was particularly unhinged, and the murderous intent directed at SCP-P448 caused it to get into what is best described as a fighting stance, before a large blue glowing sphere appeared in its hands. Next thing we knew, all the cameras in the containment cell experienced some kind of interference. So the Foundation only has to report of personnel on hand who are monitoring SCP-P448 while this test was going on. What happened next baffles the mind, but it does mean that SCP-P448 is classified as a Euclid class. Well, at least for now. SCP-P448 released the blue glowing orb towards the direction of the D-class. That orb went across the room and faded into the wall, almost like it disappeared. Moments later, the D-class burst into blue flames and died instantly. As you can imagine, since that incident, and due to the rather dangerous ability, only Foundation staff, who have no malice or ill will towards SCP-P448, are allowed within a 300-meter radius. As if this wasn't bad enough, this fellow is extremely skilled at close combat, and adept at using steel spikes, sharp fangs, and an agile body to quickly deal with any close-quarter threat. That, the boys in the lab, in their infinite wisdom. And let me tell you, wisdom is something these lads fail to possess. In their infinite wisdom, the boys in the lab decided to see how many D-class it took until one landed a hit on SCP-P448. It's safe to say that the number of D-class lost to SCP-P448 is now classified and redacted. I think this was due to the fact that so far, the last recorded number attacking SCP-P448 at once was, oh Jesus, Mary and Joseph. No wonder it was redacted. Let's just say, we all know D-class are expendable, but even I would have a hard time justifying these numbers to the O5 Council. If I weren't sitting down, I'd need to be. I still need a drink after reading this. Surely, with that number of D-class, one of them managed to? Nope, I guess not. All I can say is to date, not one incident with SCP-P448 has resulted in it being injured in close quarter combat, despite the overwhelming, and I do mean overwhelming numbers, attacking it. So to summarise this one, like I said, has a bit of a feisty side. But as long as you have no malice, then it'll be safe to be around. However, its temperament can flip, much like a switch at any moment. After reading this, I might have to check if SCP-P448 should be moved to the Keter class after all. SCP-P448 wasn't the only P-class SCP the Foundation managed to contain. The SCP Foundation managed to capture an anomaly called SCP-P881. Why, isn't this one a bit of an odd-looking SCP? Looks like a rather strange combination of a dragon with a sea creature. It looks like it has snow or ice on its body. What else does it say about this SCP? Oh, seems most of the information is redacted. Bloody hell, I wish they would have redacted this part. This SCP, produces a rather viscous mucus from its nose. Apparently, it's constantly streaming all over the place. I don't believe the Foundation has enough tissues for this one. Seems like there's a bit more to SCP-P881 than just being a rather snotty SCP. This strange fella has the ability to generate electricity by shaking his body. So that's what the snow-covered part of it's for. I was wondering about that. This SCP uses the cold from the snow on its upper body to cause it to shiver, and as it does, its body builds up an electrical charge to use, well, to zap those around it. The Foundation scientists has discovered, again, through the use of many D-class. If I was a D-class, I would hate to be sent to Site P. I mean, at most Foundation sites, the chance of a D-class living a long life is low. But with this site, well, let's just say, I'd rather be turned into an SCP and put in a containment cell. Anyway, before we have a pint of the black stuff, this type of SCP baffles the mind. What makes this one tick? Those experiments on SCP-P881 revealed that this fella has a childlike mind, and as such, it finds grand or pleasure in sapping the D-class sent in to see it, often smiling and, I guess you could say, dancing around. Oh my, this one isn't so much like a child, it's more evil. SCP-P881 will do this for hours and hours until those it zapped become a charred pile of flesh on the ground. I think this fella is definitely not one of those friendlier SCPs that the Foundation's come across. Oh, the boys in the lab managed to get a sample of this thing's blood. It says it has an aviary and aquatic DNA. So this thing looks like a dragon and a fish. It was actually some kind of bird and a fish with the ability to produce snow, as well as a constant supply of snot. Though I think the boys in the lab reckon this snot has a wide range of potential uses. Who knows? Maybe it'll be turned into the latest superglue or adhesive. Or maybe someone has a strange snot collection and this is now part of it. Let's see what it says about the containment measures for SCP-P881. SCP-P881 Special Containment Procedures. No access is allowed into or out of the containment cell without instruction by the O5 Council for approved experimentation or testing. The containment cell is lined with a super-resistant material akin to rubber in its electrical resilient properties. If in the event that SCP-P881 is injured, it is to be treated with an electrical charge for 3000 volts for 3 hours. Then repeat, but do not repeat more than 3 times in 48 hours. So this thing can absorb electricity to heal itself. That's a fine trick. Maybe I should thank that Nexon fella for the incident at Site V, and let SCP-P881 give him a shock or two. Perhaps 3 or 4. I wonder why. This thing can only be shocked for 3 hours at a time. Oh, bloody hell. No wonder it has a limit. It says here, if SCP-P881 can absorb enough electricity, it can use what the boys called, geez, not very original, although I guess it is clear. It says here the boys call the ability SCP-P881 uses zap cannon. SCP-P881 builds up an electrical charge in its body and discharges it at the target. Oh, it says here, it seems like a cannon blast of electricity, depending on the charge of the zap cannon. The more I say it, the more I think I like that name. Anyway, depending on the charge before firing this blast, it can kill or paralyze any living creature it comes into contact with. Looks like SCP-P881 has been classified as Euclid. Wonder if the Foundation can find a way to use the zap cannon as a power source. SCP-P-R-895 is a member of a recently discovered SCP grouping in the SCP-P classification. Like I said before, new SCP encounters have been appearing all over. This one is a bit of an interesting fella. We may need to ensure that SCP-P-R group of anonymous entities are kept separate. They all seem to be similar in nature. Wonder what they mean by that. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, this thing's a golem. One of those rock-like creatures that can move about on his own. To be honest, this one looks like it's a bit of a giant dragon's head, with a red jeweled sphere inside of his mouth. Kinda like it swallowed a fancy jawbreaker or gumball. Well, that's what this thing looks like when you see it. SCP-P-R-895 has a full SCP file. Let's have a look at this one, shall we? SCP-P-R-895. Class Euclid. Special containment procedures. This SCP is not allowed to be contained in the same site as any of the other SCP-P-R series. It has been noted with other SCPs in this series. When they are contained on the same site, they can join to form another SCP-P entity. It's been observed by Foundation scientists that SCP-P-R337, SCP-P-R378, and SCP-P-R379 combine to form an SCP-P-R486. After this incident, all golem-type SCP-P entities are to be held in separate Foundation locations, at least 2,000 miles apart. No material from any of the SCP-P-R series allowed to be taken off-site and put on another site containing the counterpart SCPs. These various entities have a range of abilities, but the procedures for SCP-P-R-895 include a sealed room with no access to any open airspace. This SCP is capable of flight. Although there are two wing-like features on its back, this fella doesn't use these to fly. It just floats about if it wishes to. SCP-P-R-895 has an energy signature similar to SCP-P-R486. It's theorized that this SCP was created by SCP-P-R486. Well, that's just bloody great. So, not only can these things not be contained near each other, but it seems like once some of the material is about, there's a resonance effect between these SCP entities, causing an increase in their powers, at least while the material is present. If, however, the material is from the subject contained on site, then there is no such anomalous effects. SCP-P-R-895 is not to be exposed to a frequency of 32,768 Hz for an extended period of time. Prolonged exposure to this sound range causes a harmonic instability to build up and over time fracture as well as shatter the body of SCP-P-R-895. Thankfully though, given enough time and raw crystal-like materials, this SCP can heal itself to be as good as new. I guess the Foundation still needs to be on the lookout for any more SCP-P as well as SCP-P-R anomalies. Either way, looks like it's about time for a pint of the black stuff. I have to say, I had a lot of fun on this one, and it was quite nice taking some of the Pokemon, including my favourite one, Lucario, and turning them into SCPs. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, let me know. If there's enough interest, maybe we'll do a part 2. If you like this video, be sure to check out the other Pokemon content on the channel. There's turning Pokemon into mech armors, even a series where we venomize them. If you want to see another round of Pokemon SCPs on the channel, then leave a like on this video to let me know you enjoyed the content, and let me know what Pokemon suggestions you have for us to turn to SCPs in a part 2. I'm excited to see what Pokemon you guys suggest. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next time.